Hey guys, what's up? Let me know if you can hear me. I'm just working on this program a little bit more. Let me know if you hear me. Let me get started. And there is a little bit of a delay in between the comments on the program that I'm using. So I have it actually up on a tablet so I can see what's going on. So good. Hearing's good. Check. All right. So let me go ahead and turn this off so I can get started. Okay. So this is the very first live stream Q&A. As I mentioned before, we're going to do a Q&A for the first few of these just to kind of get a lot of those questions that you guys have been sending in through and kind of answered. Let me go ahead and move this around here. Let's see. Let me get that on there. And I have a couple videos that I'm actually creating in the background, so they might pop up in the middle of this. So I'll just have to turn them off once they go up. But all right, so the plan is to try to answer as many questions that I can within the next hour and a half to 2 hours. We're going to kind of a first come, first serve basis. And of course, there is about a 2 to 3 minute delay depending on how many comments come in to through this little program here. So if you ask a question, just be ready to wait a few minutes before I actually see it. And it's all going to depend on how many actually come in. So yeah, so to become a member, just to clarify that, I will put that banner up for you guys. If you become a member on the channel, you get this little icon that shows up during the live streams. And if your question comes up and you have that icon, I'm just going to automatically go to it first just because paid members will get that kind of privilege to have their questions answered. And it can be any tier. It could be a supporting member, or you can go all the way up to the live stream or the phone call. It doesn't matter. Either one of those tiers, you'll get that icon. Let me just check here. When it comes to video, what do you mean no video? Let me check the live stream on my end. There should be, yeah, there's video there. What are you talking about, man? No video. I don't know. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's run through here. First one, Glenn, I would love your thoughts on a cal reactor, cal dosing for 180 SPS. Okay, well, it really just comes down to your budget, Glenn. If you want to spend the money on a calcium reactor, I would go that route. Calcium reactors provide not only the calcium and alkalinity needs, but they also will take care of all your minor like trace elements and stuff like that. Like it's hard to explain. So basically, when you dose two-part, you're dosing just calcium alkalinity, the carbonate and bicarbonate. But when you dose with a calcium reactor, you're actually using dead skeletons that have all those, I guess, micronutrients, if you want to call it that, inside the skeletal structure. So when you dissolve that with the CO2 within the reactor, that stuff goes right back into the tank and can be used up by your corals. I am getting much better growth using a calcium reactor next to a two-part, but it could be just an entirely different system. So it could just be that. But if you have the money, go for a calcium reactor. If not, I would do a reliable dosing pump, maybe the Neptune Apex pump with two-part. So hopefully that answers your question. I got to scroll up already. Holy fuck. Let's see here. All right, next question. Anthony, what can I use to dose phosphate till I get yours? What will work? The only thing you really can do is probably add a little bit of extra food. I don't know what kind of food you have, but consider just adding a little bit more food until that comes through. I shipped out yesterday, the last of the order, so you should be getting it, I would think, by Monday. It's usually 1 or 2 day. Let's move down here. Next question. What am I up to? What does it look like I'm up to, man? Let's see here. Next question. I'm having difficult getting my parameters in check. Newbie on parameters. How do I get them in check? What do you mean in check? Are you just having big fluctuations? Feel free. I'm probably not going to see the answer to that. I wish I could do that. But what do you mean by not in check? As you're not getting stable calcium alkalinity, anything like that? What salt you're using? Those are all kind of questions I would ask to get them in check. But in general, to keep your parameters stable, you want a consistent salt that doesn't have major fluctuations. The Fritz blue box is really good, at least from my experience. Pretty stable parameters. You're going to want to check with a reliable test kit, so stay away from the API. Go to like HANA or Red Sea, something like that, to get a little bit better results. And then check often, and don't make any major adjustments to the tank, and your parameters should stay relatively stable. I wish I had a little bit more information on that. Scrolling down here, we're going to do reef-related questions. Nothing, of what I identify as or anything like that, guys. Holy fuck. Let's see what we got here. How much of a drop in DKH will cause an SPS reef to be unstable? I'm having a drop of a 0.7 DKH every day. That's pretty significant, man. I would, yeah, that's quite a bit. I would stay not even a half a point, not even a 0.5, I think is even too much. I would even stay even less than that. I'm not sure what your method is of actually keeping the tank stable, but I would consider, grab a drink here, consider finding a way to keep that alkalinity a little bit more stable. Next question here. How do you quarantine your inverts and coral? Okay, so I have a video on all the products on the website and how I set up my coral quarantine. It's all, it's basically just a smaller version of a regular tank. Now, when it comes to inverts, it's the same process. You can actually quarantine your inverts in your same quarantine tank for your corals. Just don't quarantine your inverts with fish if the tank has ever had copper in it, because you'll end up, killing off your fish. I mean, your inverts pretty quickly if you, expose them to copper. So same process. That video, Josh, is actually on my website, and you can even look up in the quarantine playlist on how to set up a specific coral quarantine tank. Let's see. I'm not sure what you mean. I'm not sure what you mean by this, man. Do I ask a question? What I asked via the contact up your page website. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Oh man, this comment. Let's see. I'm on minute 7:04, so we already are a little bit behind. Hey guys, thanks for all the donations up to this point. I really do appreciate it. I'm trying to pin them if I can. Hey Travis, when are you going to throw some T5s on that frag tank? I'm not putting any more T5s in the fish room here. I think the 8 that I have over the 300 is more than enough. My electric bill is like $560 a month right now, so I'm trying to not continue to increase that. Even though I am using all LEDs and all like DC pumps, it's still pretty high. So there won't be any T5s. I'm probably going to add a third Radion, see what the par is, maybe adjust them down with some kind of device where I can bring them back up so I can get my head in there and work. I haven't really decided yet. I'll probably go ahead and figure that out in the next couple of weeks. Next question. Are you going to be importing any soft LPS from Indo? Opens up tomorrow. Nope, not importing coral anymore. Not doing it. Everything that I have is either going to be collected locally from hobbyists that I trust. Stuff is still going to get quarantined, then it's going to grow out. And I'm primarily going to stay with SPS. And I do have some soft corals growing now that I've had from previous system. But right now I'm not going to be importing anything. And I know that's a pretty big hit in business, but I just don't feel comfortable importing coral when there's so many other options. Man, it's spinning around here. Let's see here. Another question. Is your frag tank tied to your 300 or is it separate? It is tied in. I have I actually have 2 pumps in the return section. I have the Jabo DCS 18,000, which takes care of the 40 shallow reef, the 2 low boys that I just added, and that 1 low boy grow out. So it takes care of 4 tanks. So then I have a Jabo DCS 12,000 that takes care of the 300, the reactors and all that stuff. Can you stay at DKH 8 if you're using Triton? Yeah, I mean, I think they recommend 8 as their baseline for Triton, if I believe so. I'm pretty sure it's 8 that they recommend. Let's go ahead and move down. Yeah, everything's pretty slow coming in. Must just be the program. On 2-part, can I dose more alkalinity and calcium to bring the DKH even further? Nope, you don't want to be dosing 2 different amounts of each. I feel like I've talked about this a lot. It might just be me. But you never want to dose unequal parts of calcium alkalinity in a reef tank, because when you do, it's going to set it in balance. It's going to be in balance over time. What you want to do is you want to dose equal parts all the time. Now, say you have like 8 DKH and you want to get to 9 DKH and your calcium's a little high. Say it's like 450 or something. Well, you're still going to want to increase both to elevate that alkalinity, and it will even itself out. I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't checked my calcium in several months. I can't remember the last time I checked my calcium because I just don't find it to be that important. Plus, I have the calcium reactor, and it seems to take care of it. But either way, even when I was dosing 2-part, I still recommend you dose equal parts and make sure you make those adjustments evenly. And one thing to make sure, if you're having issues with swings and them just not leveling out, check your magnesium. Your magnesium might not be in the correct range, and that's 1350 to 1450 if you're wondering. So just check your magnesium. I got to scroll all the way up here, guys. Give me a second. All right, moving down here. Travis, I will be setting up my 30-gallon JBJ all in one. Do you think the 5-gallon tank will be enough for a QT tank? Unfortunately, I have less space. Well, it depends on what you have for fish. Are you just doing like clownfish, smaller fish? I mean, I wouldn't throw a hippo tang in a 5-gallon quarantine tank. So, yeah, I mean, I don't see why it would be an issue. You already, I'm assuming you're not going to put huge fish in a 30-gallon, but I think, some people do. Oh, Spike is losing his shit over here. Really? I guess he's just mad I'm not paying attention to him. But yeah, so I don't see why it would be an issue. 5 gallons is fine. Just don't quarantine a lot of fish. Do regular water changes, maybe a 50% once you get through your copper treatment. And then, just keep an eye on that. I got to move this video around. So I am actually creating a video right now that might pop up that is actually going to be my background video for these streams. But I just couldn't get it done in time. Okay, let's move on to the next question. I'm planning on a new tank, and I'm currently have 2 storm clownfish, divided leopard wrasse, royal grama, yellow tang. What is the best way to introduce a new tang and tank and all at once can I do? Okay, so when it comes to introducing fish, especially, so you got a yellow tang, so you don't have any other tangs that I can see. Your best bet is to introduce them, at least tang-wise, at the same time. But since you have different fish, I don't think it's going to be an issue. Okay, let's see. I'm just trying to figure out another way to go about that. Yeah. So if you're gonna add multiple tangs, I would try to get them around the same size of the one you have. You didn't say how big your yellow tang was. Try to get them around the same size, and then introduce multiple if you can at one time. You didn't say how big your tank was either. So the best bet is try to stay away from the same facial structure. So I would not get a sailfin. I wouldn't get a purple tang. I wouldn't get a powder blue. Try to get something maybe like a hippo or a Bemingui tang, something with a different facial structure. Make it a lot easier to add more tangs to the current setup. Glenn, hey, thanks for the donation on that. I'm just getting to it. So I'm looking at questions from 7:08, and we're at 7:13 right now. So yeah, I don't know what to do about that, guys. I'm sorry. Let's go down here. Next question. Let's see over here. Them colors are bright, amazing. What do you use to grow with the bright colors? So I did do a video recently. Actually, no, it wasn't recently. It's probably been almost a year on what I dosed the 300. So a quick rundown. I dose Refuel twice a week, 100 milliliters twice. I dose Acropower twice a week at 100 milliliters each. I dose 50 milliliters twice a week of potassium, Brightwell aquatic potassium. I dose iodine. I think it's 5 drops twice a week. And I dose Phyto 30 milliliters every other day. And I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't dose anything else to the tank, and it seems to do pretty good. And of course, I am using the Radions and T5s. Those always help. How can I get your product shipped to Canada? You can't, man. At least right now, not right now. I've looked into the shipping for that, and it's pretty pricey. So I'm going to have to work on something. You can hit me up via email, but I've gotten a lot of requests to go to Canada. They're just really iffy about liquids going over the border, and I'm trying not to get caught up on that and have to pay. And I don't want you paying like $30 for something that you bought for $8. I think that might not be worth it. You probably will get a better deal locally. I mean, I know I would love to support, but I don't want you to, kill yourself over it. And it's not really gonna be fun. I gotta go all the way back up here, man. Whew. Okay, here we go. Mike Lemming. A question. Would you medicate a QT as a preventative, even if the fish in quarantine are not showing signs of anything and are eating well? Yes. I always run run copper in my system. At least give the fish a couple days to kind of get used to the environment, because they're probably stressed out from the fish store and all their transportation wise. And then just give them a couple days, put in the copper dose over 4 to 8 hours. And then, yeah, I always do a preventative, because it's not what you see that usually gets you, it's what you don't see. Next question. What temperature would you recommend for a fish and course? I keep my tank at 79 degrees. The apex fluctuated or whatever from 78.7 to 79.3 is about the fluctuation that it has. But 79 is pretty good for me. That's what I like to stay at. Of course, a lot of people found that they get really good growth close to 80, but the problem is when you start getting at those ranges, there's not much room for leeway. So it's up to you. I like 79. Next question. What are your thoughts on continuing water changes, 1 to 2 milliliters versus weekly water changes? Do you provide a steady? I use water changes for a different reason than a lot of people do. A lot of people do water changes to simply just, change out the water. I use it to siphon out detritus because it's a bare bottom tank. So for me personally, that's how it works for me. But a lot of guys hook up the dose from Neptune Apex, and they simply just do the automatic water changes. It's your call on that. Of course, you're going to get the benefits of both. It just depends on, how much work you want to do. Let's go and move down here. Hey, Scott, hey, thanks for the Everything's good here from Scotland. Never been there before. Been all over the world. Never been there. Next question. I have new AI 32s. They are in acclimation modes. Should my coral still open up fully without light spectrum? So they're new lights. So I'm assuming you had lights on there before. You didn't really put what you had before. They should open up fine, but you didn't say if they're SPS or LPS as well. So SPS can be a little weird if that's what you have. I mean, I see your profile picture here. It looks like you're a big, you like LPS, but SPS will be a little iffy on new lighting. They got to adjust it to par. The rule of thumb for me is when I get new lights, I tend to say I went from the black box, Chinese black boxes to the Radions. I would simply see what the par is, what I'm getting at that coral. And I would, when I added those new lights, I would simply just try to match that par to the best of my ability. I would kind of stay away from the acclimation mode, but to each his own, you can do whatever works for you. I would say try to get as close to what you had before, and they should open up. Hopefully that answers your question, man. In your opinion, what's the best test kits for nitrate and phosphate and alkalinity? So for my chair squeaking, guys, sorry about that. Nitrate, I personally like to use the Red Sea. I've never actually, have I ever used anything? I don't think I've ever used anything else. Red Sea seems to work for nitrates. Phosphates, I always like to use the Hanna checker because it's pretty precise. At least, it's better than guessing colors. I'm not really a fan of guessing colors. So phosphates is Hanna, alkalinity is Hanna as well, because those are two pretty important. Alkalinity specifically is really got to be accurate because fluctuations can get pretty deadly in an SPS tank if you don't catch them. And again, you don't want to be guessing with colors with that stuff. Let's go ahead and move down here. Okay, let's see if it shows up. Kind of delay on that too. I just started a QT. What salinity do you keep your QT at? Water changes schedule. Okay. You didn't say if it's a QT for fish or corals or inverts. I'm assuming it's for fish. That seems to be, most people are talking about that. I usually keep it exactly what I'm keeping the tank at, unless I need to fight, say, ick and the copper's not doing it. You want to go to hyposalinity, and of course you want to drop it. So for me, 1.025 or 1.026 is what I like to keep it at. And my water change schedule, if I'm not treating for copper, which is usually a 2-week period. Once I'm done with the copper, I'll go ahead and do a 50% water change and then keep an eye on it, do another 2 to 3 weeks of observation, and then be good to go. Okay, next question. Adam, hey, Travis. Is it the beat and snip the tips? Okay, what are you talking about? Beat to snip the tips. Oh, okay. Well, when it comes to STN, it's one of those things, man. You can snip it. You can try to catch it before it gets to the end. It's really hard to tell, man. So in this video, you probably can't see in the video right now, that big staghorn that had this script stag. I just took it out. If you follow me on Instagram, I showed you guys the massive hole I made in that left rock structure. Now, the ends of that coral were still alive, and it was STNing from the bottom up because it was getting hit by a whole bunch of shit. And unfortunately, even though I snipped them the other day, or was it yesterday, a lot of them are dead this morning. And sometimes the STN you can't do anything about it. Yeah, so if you look at this picture now, it's probably, I don't know what the delay is, but on the far left side behind the big green, what the hell is that freaking thing? Green Slimers, that acro, that script stag that's just completely STN'd out. Tried to cut the tips on it, and unfortunately, most of them are dead. I still got a few left, try to save them, but yeah, unfortunately, it's kind of the luck of the draw on that. Man, why is it going down? I'm on 7:10. Wow, shit. The comments are 9 minutes behind. Holy fuck. I don't know how to fix this, guys. I really wish that I could give you an answer on how to fix that. I can't make the comments. Wow. That sucks, man. I can't believe we're 10 minutes behind in comments. Let's go ahead here and get through. What Hanna checker do you use? I think I already answered this. I use Hanna checker for alkalinity and Hanna checker for phosphate. Hopefully that's what you meant. Moving down here, trying to answer these a little bit quicker for you. You don't suppose you'd send to Scotland? No, man, I can't ship overseas, especially liquids, and definitely can't ship coral overseas. I'm working on it with a guy that's local here, trying to figure it out, but it's just not looking good right now. It's really, really expensive. And again, I don't want you guys to have to bend over backwards to pay for shipping. I mean, if you're paying $9 for say, Fido, I don't want you to pay $25 for shipping. That just doesn't make any sense when you can probably get it locally. But I do appreciate the support on that, by the way. Let's go ahead and move through here. Gabe, I saw that you were using the Seneye. Do you truly trust the results, or do you just think it's good enough? I'm just kind of one of those good enough guys. I mean, on certain things, because I am just making adjustments on the frag tank. And to be honest, the Seneye has never failed me. Every tank that I've used, even the 125s when I first started using one, the Seneye Reef works perfectly fine. I've been able to get roughly a good range. And if you saw in the video, it does fluctuate quite a bit, but once it starts kind of bouncing back and you kind of get an idea of what it's at, it just gives me a general guideline. So like when I put it to the end of the frag tank and realized that I was only getting like 90 par, I'm like, well, shit, that's definitely not good enough. Even though visually it looked okay to me, but getting just that rough guideline. So yeah, the Seneye Reef is pretty good. I might as well answer this question you guys were asking. What is a Seneye Reef attached to? It's actually one of my old Chinese algae scrapers. It's one of the flat ones. You get them on eBay for like $9 or $10. Comes like 7 or 8 blades. And I just zip tied the Seneye Reef on there, and it allows me to have a little thing. Moving down here, are you going to get good growth with the radions? Are you getting good growth radions? Yes. I mean, the 300 you guys can see here, that's 2 years of growth. I gotta get the video back up. So that's 2 years of growth, and I mean, I think it's pretty good. I'm not really sure what maybe your guys' opinions on that. For me personally, I think the growth in this tank from frags to this in 2 years with 8 radions and 8 T5 bulbs, I think is pretty good. Moving down here. Oh man, sorry guys. I am 13 minutes behind on comments. This is fun. I really wish there was a way to keep up with this. I keep apologizing because I feel bad. The point of this was to try to answer your guys' questions, but I just simply can't get to them all. I feel bad. Get back up here, and it also really sucks. So if I click on somebody on accident and it's not like off their name a little bit, it will shoot me down to the bottom of the list, and I got to go all the way back up. Let's see here. Okay. I have 2 neothermal cobalt heaters. Trash them or keep them? I don't really throw heaters out. I'm one of those guys that keeps heaters even if they're not the best, because you never know when the ones you have are going to take a shit. And it's always good to have one that kind of works opposed to one of not having any at all. So I would keep them, just throw them in a bin. I got a whole bin just full of junk that is a what if. Okay, moving down. Next question. Kevin, what DKH levels do you like for your SPS, LPS, and softies? Okay, so for my SPS, I like to keep around 9 to 9.5 DKH. I feel that's pretty good. When I get up around 10, 11, I find that it's just too much stress, and you got to balance out your nutrients with it. So 9 DKH seems to work good. If you want to be safe, stay at 8.5. Same thing for LPS. 8.5 is good. Softies, you can do whatever with that. 8.5. But when it comes to LPS and softies, usually having a higher nutrient tank, a little bit better off of that. Moving down here. I've been getting some weird fuzzy growth on my rocks for some time now. Doesn't hurt anything, but do you think additives like Vibrant, Aquarium Cleaner, Dr. Tim's sludge busting bacteria were worth a try? Honestly, you probably go natural method. Throw some blue-legged hermit crabs in there. See if that does. I'm not a big fan of chemicals. I've talked about this a couple million times, probably. But I'm not a big fan of using chemicals to fix issues. Try to use a natural method. Like when you're getting nutrients down, try to use a refugium. Try to go around that. But I would try some blue legs. Get a whole bunch of them. If you can quarantine them, if you can, that's probably recommended. But see how that works out for you. Okay, let's see what's up. I'm moving down here. I am 14 minutes behind on the fucking comments. Yikes. Okay. Hope you guys are okay with waiting. I hope it's not too bad. Okay. My new tank will be a 180. I plan on, so I think, okay, this is the second part of that question. I plan on a blonde naso, blue hippo tang, yellow eye coal tang, and a gem tang. Sorry, I don't have enough space for the type of questions. Okay, yeah. So what I would do is try to add, so the hippo would be fine, the blonde naso. So I would do, since you have a yellow tang in there, I would do the blue hippo, the gem tang at the same time, and then save the other ones for the second batch. Or if you can, if it's possible, just quarantine them all at the same time and add them all and try to get them a relatively the same size. That will help you out. All right, next question. What are you using? What's your go-to bacteria for start your cycling new system? I don't have a go-to bacteria. Usually I cure the rock for a few months and I just let nature do its thing. I don't really use bacteria, but I know that Fritz does sell some. Never used it. I did give some away to, or they donated some to me to give to Mike for the veterans build. Their version of bacteria. I'm assuming it's good. They sell a ton of it. So, but for me, I'm more of a natural method. I get a big 55-gallon trash bin and I cure my rock for a few months, and then the bacteria takes care of itself, doing water changes about 50% every 2 weeks. Let's go ahead and move down here. Okay, let's move down here. I don't know. Mike, anyone burn candles on the house or use something like that for breeze? Okay. I don't know if he's asking me. I think he's asking somebody else. Scrolling down, guys. Yeah, I'm at 7:14, minute 7:14 when they came in. So I'm scrolling through and see if I can get to you guys. Okay, next question. How many hours do you run your T5s and how high from the water they are? So if you could see in the video right now, that's how high they are off the water. That kind of worked out well. I don't know how high that is. It's good enough for me to at least get my shoulder in there to get to the bottom of the tank. And I run them. They kick on an hour after the LEDs kick on, and they turn off an hour before the LEDs turn off. And the LEDs are on for, I think, 13 hours, something like that. So, yeah, 10 or 11 hours they're on. Works out pretty good. And again, I'm using 4 Blue Plus and 4 Actinic for the bulbs. And, I find that's a pretty good combination. It at least makes it easy to record it. And I can at least say that. Let's go to move through here. Thanks for the donation, guys. I see it up on my other screen. So thanks for the donation. I just won't see it for probably another 12 minutes on my end on the other computer. Scrolling down. All right, excuse me, guys. I'm just getting through the comments here, trying to get to one. Hey, guys, yeah, I'm not answering any personal questions. I usually don't do that anyways. If you want any personal questions answered, you can hit me up during email. I usually don't use a platform like this to discuss any of that stuff. Next question. Do you culture pods or phyto? Just phyto. Do not do pods. I don't really have the facility or the space to do that right now. I kind of have my phyto crammed in a corner right now, and it seems to work out pretty well. Hey, thanks for the support, Josh, on that. Okay, can I start a QT with a cube, then turn it into a main display down the road? Like if I use copper, eventually coral. Okay, some people get away with using copper in a quarantine tank and then growing corals later in it. No, I wouldn't do that. I think if you're going to use a quarantine tank, have it be a quarantine tank and only a quarantine tank. Whenever you use copper in it, that's it. It's just for fish. I wouldn't try inverts or anything else, corals or anything like that. So yeah, I would pass on trying to make it your display. Will it be on the swap on Saturday? 50-50 chance on that. I work for another company here in Harrisburg, and I'm trying to do some stuff for them. So Saturday nights are pretty busy for us on that. So we'll see. Usually up all night. So we'll see if I go to the swap. 50-50 chance on that. I'll let you guys know before the weekend if I'm going or not. Let's see here. Do you run the green and red spectrum, and do you find it important for corals? What's your take on coral health and color and growth with the more daylight versus blue light? Okay, so I do run a very small portion or small percentage of green and red. I think it's like 15%. It's part of the AB plus spectrum. I do have a video on the 300-gallon playlist with that actual, my settings for the radions. Now, I find that the red and green will promote algae growth if you have too much of it, so I try to keep it pretty low. When it comes to overall coral health and color, the blue spectrum is really where you want to be at because that's where the zooxanthellae are going to get most of their energy from. The white light, honestly, is just for us as humans to personally enjoy the tank. If you go into the ocean and you go all the way down to where the corals are, all the white light gets filtered out, so you're pretty much dealing with just blue. So blue light is the best, and recommend that, at least as much of that as you can get in an appropriate par range, of course. Okay, let's go down here. How do you get rid of baby aptasia that's on GSP? Well, I would say go with nudibranchs. That's your best bet. And if you have a wrasse, put them in put them in at night, so when the wrasse is sleeping, and to make sure you put them near the aptasia, and hopefully they can eat it and find a place to hide before the morning comes or the wrasse figures out they're in there. But nudibranchs are probably your best bet. They're a little bit expensive, but they do the job. And if you get the medium ones, they will hatch and have eggs and be good to go. Let's go here. Let's move up. Oh boy. Okay, let's see here. Can I mix up a few months worth of saltwater without any ill effects, or should I mix as I need for saltwater change? Okay. I've actually had this question a few times. I personally will mix salt up as I need it. but it is a good idea to have extra bin around. I know I forgot who's the other reefer. There's a YouTuber that actually has an extra, so many 100 gallons. I think it's Malev, honestly. I think it's him. He has extra like 100 some odd gallons of water, because you never know what could happen. Maybe you actually dumped a whole bunch of fish food, or something got into the tank and you need to do an immediate water change. So it's good to have some on standby. But for me personally, I don't really keep a lot, because I can mix it up relatively quickly because I have 180 gallons of RODI on standby. So I just simply have to heat it up, which doesn't take very long with 1,000 watts of heating. So for me, I don't, but depending on your space and stuff, it might be a good idea to keep some. I would not keep hundreds of gallons of it sitting around for months and months and months, because you got to think the stuff is sitting in a barrel. I don't know what barrels you have. You got to get the food grade. You got to get the good high end barrels that are not going to leach anything into the water. So yeah, I would consider keeping a little bit around as oops, I made a mistake, or just enough that you can use up within a month or two. Hopefully that answers your question there, man. Next question. Do you believe in LPS chemical warfare? Oh, I definitely do, especially between torches and like hammers and frog spawns. Torches are like the be all end all, I'll fuck you up kind of coral. Anything that a torch touches, hence the reason why I moved that chalice on the lower left-hand side of the tank. That one torch I have, it's just starting to grow, and it's taking out the frog spawn, and actually it's in the video now. And there used to be a chalice right there, and it was like, hey man, I'm going to mow you down. So yes, there's definitely chemical warfare. And if you can see, even in the video that's up now, that chalice there, it has big sweeper tentacles at night. And you can even see, there's a perfect example. I guess this is just working out here. The chalice next to that, I think a war coral. See, the war coral's killing the other chalice. So yeah, there's definitely warfare going on between LPS. It's just same thing for any coral. The only corals I see that don't really kill each other are going to be like the soft corals seem to be pretty okay. They get along just fine. It's the SPS and the LPS that are all going ham on each other. Let's go ahead and move down. Next question. If you have low phosphate problems, why not just turn down your Fugilite? Okay, so I got this a lot when I talked about the phosphates dosing and all that stuff on the video last week. Okay, so I use my Refugium for couple different things. For one, it's for a place for my calcium reactor to dump into. So because the pH is so low on a calcium reactor, I dump it into the Refugium. So the growth of the macroalgae can help elevate, it uses the CO2 to grow, which then takes it out of the water, which in turn helps the pH stay elevated, on top of using a dual chamber for the calcium reactor. Now, when it comes to turning it off, I find that here in the basement, if my Refugium doesn't run at night, or say I forget to even turn my sorry, I'm burping here. I just had a cheeseburger, bacon burger actually. And if I forget to turn, say my skimmer is off for whatever reason, I forgot to turn it back on. Between those two things, it keeps my pH around 7.9 throughout the night. And if any one of those things are not working, man, the pH just plummets through the freaking floor, and I have a huge problem with my SPS in the morning. So I like to keep things consistent. And one thing that you can control is the dosing of the phosphates. So keeping the Refugium the way it is, keeping the skimmer the way it is, keep my feeding the same. And if I have to increase my phosphates, it's very simple. I just increase the amount that I dose. It's kind of one of those things I can make minor adjustments and keep the level where I want them to be. All right, moving down. How many times do you feed a day, and what do you feed? Okay, so I feed once a day, and it's usually in the morning. And I have a food mix that I actually make myself. I have a video in the beginner guide playlist, and there's probably a couple videos. I think I've done a few different versions of it. So I make my own food here in house, and no, I can't ship it to you guys. Dry ice is stupid expensive, and again, I don't want you guys spending a ton of money for something that you could easily do on your own. Just for the sake of trying to support the channel. So, yep, make my own food. I feed once a day, and yeah, that's about it. Yeah, can I switch salt make into my water changes? I don't know what you mean, but can I switch salt make into my water changes? Robert, man, I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying, dude. I don't know. I'm too tired, or I can't fucking read today. One or the other. Moving down. What happens to Kessel Light experiment you were conducting? Yes, I still have them. They're actually over the healing tank. So corals get cut from multiple tanks here, and they come into one 50-gallon low boy, which has both of those Kessels over it, and they're doing pretty good. I have frags in there that are growing just fine. I am going to have to do a comparison between the Radions, the HD Primes, the old HD Primes, and the Kessels. And right now, I can tell you, Kessel really doesn't go by par. They definitely go by just pure spectrum, and I'm getting growth. It seems kind of dark in the tank compared to the Radions, but yeah, I'm getting perfect coloration and perfect growth. So every coral that you see on the website has sat underneath those Kessels for at least 2 to 3 weeks before I take a picture of it, depending on how quickly it heals. And then that quality, I don't really do a lot of editing my pictures. I just do a nice macro shot, and I just do a couple adjustments on the darkness so it's not, overly saturated or anything. And then I put it up on the website. So those colors are what I'm getting from the Kessels. I'm pretty freaking happy with them, honestly. Let's go ahead and, man, did I lose my spot? Oh, son bitch. That thing scrolled all the way down. Damn. That sucks. Oh, that sucks. I had a good spot. Okay. All right, here we go. What percentage do you run your Radions and what schedule? Reefing guy, I have that on the 300-gallon playlist. It's at 100%. It's about 13 hours. Check that out. I want to go in detail, but it is on the 300-gallon playlist. Hey, guys, thanks for all the donations. Appreciate the support on that. We are 40 minutes in already. Oh, damn, that shit went by real quick. Yeah, so check out the 300-gallon playlist for that information. Sorry, I can't give you any more than that, just for the sake of moving on to another question. Moving down here, Mike Lemming. He's talking a lot today about candles and shit. I can't follow him. Should I test for iron? Is it only beneficial for Chaeto? I would do an ICP test like once every 3 months, depending on your system. And they check iron in there. And yes, iron is good for your Chaeto. So yeah, and that's something you're going to want to do through an ICP test so you get some more accurate reading. There might be a standard test kit for it. Honestly, I don't know. I never even tried. I haven't even looked into it. So ICP test, probably your best bet. All right, moving down. What's the policy? Okay, what's the policy if I brought a new frag back over the border from Nigeria? I don't know. I honestly don't know what the policy on that is. You're going to have to see. TSA will probably have to see what's in the bag and all sorts of stuff on your way in. I do not know. Never done that. Moving down. Okay. Hey, thanks for the donation on that, by the way. Hey, Travis, I'm downgrading from a 700 liter. All right, man, you guys know that I am from the United States. We don't do liters, so don't make me Google this shit. Okay, so just the point is you're going down to a smaller tank. I'll be using rock from old aquarium and also other seeded media. The only new thing I'll be using is sand. What a cycle happened? Well, no, you shouldn't have a cycle. I mean, you're using the original rock. Let me see what's here. And other seeded media. Yeah, you shouldn't have a cycle at all. But I would still not go balls deep on feeding your fish a ton of food. Maybe give them a few days to kind of adjust, the bioload to adjust when you first add it. But no, there shouldn't be a cycle, especially using the original rock. Thanks again for the donation on that, Bradley. Okay, next question. What about your torch versus torch? I recently moved to, torch under the Dragon Soul. My Dragon isn't opening up very much. Okay, so torch on torch, this is different. From my experience, and guys, you got to know that I don't have a ton of LPS experience here, but from what I have, like when I've imported them, certain torches will get along without a problem, but there is always that rogue one that comes in and just starts wrecking everybody. So you might be running into that situation, but usually 9 out of 10 times, torches get along just fine, but there's always that exception. So that might just be the problem. Okay, moving down here. Jason, I watched an older video of you cutting frags. What is the pump bottle you spray the glue before? Okay, that is Coral Glue Accelerator from Bulk Reef Supply. And I use that because you can hold the frag up, give it a quick spray, wait 5-10 seconds, and then the frag won't fall over. It's not completely dried, but it is to the point where the frag won't fall over, because that sucks. Anybody's ever glued coral and you get it kind of where you want it, and then you're like, oh, it's stable, and then it falls over and you get glue all the way up the side of the frag. That sucks. So this just prevents that from happening, and I think it's like $5 or $6 on BRS, and yeah, it's pretty good. I also get their glue from them. I get the big, I think 10-ounce thick BRS generic super glue. That's also on there. It should be recommended when you're looking up the spray. All right, moving down here, JP. Cleaner shrimp is closing up corals all the time because it's touching them. Should I put him in a refugium? Cleaner shrimp? No, I think he might just move away from him. I'm assuming you just have soft corals he's pissing with. I guess that's pretty normal. If you don't like him closing up the corals and say he's like picking at a particular one, you can consider moving him to the refugium, but I kind of just let him do his thing. He'll move on to bigger and better things in the tank. I wouldn't worry too much about it. It'd probably be a huge pain in the ass to try to catch him anyways. Mike's still talking. I don't. Huge. Okay, so Mike, this is my question. You ask somebody else because I see you're talking to other people. So, what is your Refugium life schedule? Okay, so it's the exact opposite of the 300. So, but for the exception that it kicks on an hour before the lights go off on the 300 and stays on an hour after the lights turn on. So I have a little bit of a overlap there to help with any kind of balancing of pH and stuff like that. So tell your roommate to whack. Okay, I'm gonna ignore that. Moving down, do you get faster growth with blue light, or if you add more of a white light, do you think I can get just to run the blue lights only to get the good color? Okay, so the growth really is going to be determined by the blue spectrum, again, because that's what the zooxanthellae are using when it comes to producing energy to grow. So the white light is simply for us. So you can add all the white light you want. Eventually, it's probably going to piss the coral off. You probably grow some algae from it because white light has more blue and red, or red and green in it. So I would stick more of the blue and then just adjust the light, the white light that works best for you. If you're not getting enough par with just the blue lights that you have, with a little bit of white that is on there, then maybe your lights just aren't strong enough. You might have to upgrade that. Hopefully that answers your question. Moving down here. Next question. If you're setting up your first tank, how do you suggest one goes about setting up your quarantine and display at the same time? So usually for me, when I'm setting up a new tank, I will set up a quarantine and I'll start curing the rock at the same time. So I'll have a quarantine tank with whatever fish I plan on adding to the tank. So for example, when I relocate, even though the fish and everything are healthy in this tank, when I go to set up my new tank, I'm going to put all those fish into probably 100-gallon tank, something like that. And that will be a quarantine tank to hold them while I'm curing all the rock for the new build. And then once that process is done and you got the new rock in the tank and you got it filled up, ready to go, you finish off the quarantine for the fish and then throw them into the tank. So that seems to be the best bet. A lot of people have a hard time setting up a quarantine tank and a display at the same time, but it's kind of one of those things you got to learn the hard way. Most people don't do it until they end up getting ick or something because they want to add fish very quickly. So hopefully that answers your question. Next one, K-Town. Travis, how often do you calibrate your Apex pH probe? Every year, usually. I used to do it every 6 months, but I use the higher end lab grade probes, and I find that 1 year is perfect for that. Next question. Where do you keep your phosphates at? 0.07 to 0.15. I'm a little high right now because I'm kind of feeding some extra, and it is what it is. I just get it back down. If I end up getting too high, I just cut down on feeding for a little bit. It goes back down. Moving down, I am 15 minutes behind questions. That sucks because you guys ask a question and you got to wait 10 minutes, 15 minutes to get any answers there. Moving down. It's not that far. Some bitch. Hey, Glenn, thanks again for the donation. Appreciate that. Sorry, guys, I'm moving down. How can I set up my pH probe on my Apex for my calcium reactor to turn on carbon dose at 6.8 and then turn on at 7? Can you make a video on that? I can make a video on that. Let me write that down because I actually have to do a video on a calcium reactor. Let me just put that in my list here, cal reactor video. And I will, I'll try to get that out in the next week or two. All right, man? I'll try to get that done for you. Or you can actually, if you don't want to wait that long, email me and say, hey, Shahed, send me a screenshot of your calcium reactor setup on your Apex, and I'll screenshot you my setup so you can see it and you can copy it. All right. And you can just adjust the numbers to whatever you want and all that stuff. So you can do that. Email, I'll link it here for you. So you can do that. So, email this one. So you email me there and I will, I'll send you a screenshot of my Apex. Moving down. Man. Give me a second, guys. Hey, Fish Facts. Okay, what do you think of the AI Hydra 62 light for the Red Sea 170 reefer mixture? Okay, never used the light, and I hate giving people opinions on lights that I've never used, because it's I don't know. I can't give you an exact answer. I would say, hey, kind of see what the par levels are. I wonder if anybody check for YouTube and see if anybody's done any kind of par readings with that light, and see if it's going to match what you're looking to grow in your tank and how many you can add. But I've never used it, so I don't want to give you opinion on it. All right, man. So I've used AI Primes. I've used Kessels, Radions, T5s, Chinese ship boxes. So those are the ones I'm familiar with. I can give you guys answers on that. John, why are you always fucking with me, man? John, do you remove 7 inches from the ruler? Yes, I remove 7 inches before I even get started. So I end up at like 8.5. You cocksucker. You're always trolling me, man. But you are one of my biggest fans, so I appreciate it. Even though you're an asshole. Moving down. What is my opinion on amino acids? Okay, so when it comes to dosing, stuff like that, I tend to stick with Refuel. I've been successful with Refuel. I've been dosing it pretty much since, March of 2018 on the 300. Really like the Refuel. That's the only thing extra that I'm adding when it comes to those minor elements and stuff. Amino acids, stuff like that, you're kind of going to have to... let's see, there's how many different versions of that shit is out there. Do you have a specific brand, Brian, that you want to ask that what do you think is good? I mean, I'm more of a Refuel kind of guy. Refuel, Acropower, and feeding good quality food is about all I've ever needed. I've never had to add anything extra. So just, let me know what brand you're looking at or whatever. Maybe I can give you a better opinion on it. Let's go move down. All right, so I'm at 1939 when it comes to questions, and we are at 1946. Okay. Okay. Hey, Bradley, no problem with the... I understand that there might be a language barrier for some of us, so don't worry about it. I'm not sweating. I do my best to... I generally understand what you guys are saying, so don't sweat it, man. It's not a problem. Moving down here, I have a tank about 5 months old and saw some green hair algae and dosed Vibrant to help, and it did. But now fighting cyano, what's the best to do now? Continue Vibrant as well. I mean, Vibrant is just simply used to. I've never used it, by the way. I just want to kind of clarify there. It's used to get rid of the algae, I'm assuming, and then what it did is it plummeted your nutrients down, and now you're getting shit. How do you get cyano? Vibrant helps drop the nutrients in the tank. I'm almost positive. Again, I've never used it. From everything that I've read, they use it to bring the nutrients down. So I'm not sure why you'd be getting cyano. It's kind of strange. I think there might be some other things at play here, to be honest with you. I would say continue doing it. I don't know what the regimen on Vibrant is. Again, I've never used it, so I don't know how long you got to use it for. I don't know what the recommended dose is. Continue what the recommended dose is on the bottle. But yeah, you shouldn't be fighting cyano, especially... Let's see, 5 months old, saw gene closed up. Okay, now did the green hair algae go away? He didn't mention that at all. I mean, it helped, but did it completely go away? So, yeah, I would say continue doing what you got to do with the Vibrant. Keep trying it and following the directions. And, yeah, I'm sorry I can't give you a better answer on that, man. Yeah, I'm not definitely, dude, guys, I don't know everything. I'm more than happy to admit that I don't know about a specific product because why? I mean, I'd hate to give you advice on something I don't know about because I'm not in the business of setting people up for failure. That's for sure. I don't want to do that. When it comes to AI prime settings, guys, there is a video on the 40-gallon shallow reef, buddy. You can check that out. It has I go right into the app, almost positive. I go on the app and I set up the lighting for you so you can check that out. Let's go to move down. Okay. Oh, so he clarified the question. Sorry, I wanted to change my salt make. Okay, so he wants to go to a different salt. So do I change it gradually into the water changes or once at all? Robert, I'm pretty sure. Did I answer this question on my Q&A this week? I might have. I mean, it could be just a chance that somebody has the same question. I would say just stop using the salt that you have and just continue water changes, normal amount, normal temperature, all that good stuff. With just the different salt, and over time it will take over the tank with the new salt. I wouldn't try to go doing 50% water changers or anything drastic. You don't want to cause any problems. So just start using the new salt, and you should be good to go. Let me go ahead and switch that banner around. Moving down. I'm Travis Hypeman. Okay, so Mike's. Yeah, Mike, I'm just getting your question now, buddy. Sorry. Okay, moving down. Okay, so I'm a bit confused. I just finished watching Malev's live video, and he said to do more white and blue was only for us. The white is for us. So the visual white on your light for your tank is for us to visually like it. But when you go down in the ocean, all the white lights gets filtered out, so you're just strictly seeing the blues. Hey man, I mean, shit. If it's working, it's obviously working for him, and what I say works for me. So it doesn't mean that it doesn't work. Different things don't work for me personally. I'm more of a blue light kind of guy, and from what I've read and researched, blue light and blue pigment seems to be best for zooxanthellae. Yeah, I mean, shit. And I just lost my spot. Of course I did. Of course I scrolled all the way down. Any experience with ChemiClean? Not personally. A client used it and it was fine. Just don't overdose ChemiClean. That shit will strip it out. But I've never personally used it. I move down here. How many more red leg hermit crabs should I add? I have 2 cleaners, 3 large snails, emerald crab, a medium size starfish. You didn't say how big your tank was, man. So add as many as you want. I mean, I need a little bit more information on that, buddy. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, you can't really have too many hermit crabs. Well, you can to a certain extent when they start knocking each other off and killing all your snails. Good thing is have extra shells around, throw them in the tank there. But yeah, you can never really have too many hermits. I think they are always finding something to eat. Unless the tank is bone dry. I mean, I think they're going to survive. So need a little bit more information on that, JP. Where do you prefer to purchase supplies? Like, I mean, I purchase from Bulk Reef Supply, a lot of stuff from there. I got a wholesale account that I get like skimmers and stuff from. But I don't think that you guys are gonna have access to that. So I mean, BRS is pretty good. Marine Depot, I got a lot of stuff from them. It just depends on kind of who's got the better deal. But all those guys are reputable. They got, you know, they're good warranties and all sorts of shit. So if something's not working, they're happy to replace it. Never had a problem with that. So hopefully that's what you mean. Scrolling down. Another question. I have an established rock in a 75-gallon, but I have been cycling new rock for the new tank for the last 3 months in the 220-gallon. Should I transfer all at once or slowly? Doesn't matter. No fish. Okay, so you have established rock in a 75-gallon. Okay, but you've been cycling new rock for the two. Okay, well, I mean, you can. Are you doing a slow transition? I don't know if this question is linked to a previous question. I'll be honest with you. Whatever questions I probably answered 10 minutes ago, I'm not going to remember what I was talking about. And there's nothing personal on that. But I would say if you're just swapping over to a new tank, just put it all in there and then add the new rock. As long as the rock isn't too old and it's, you know, as long as you're not having nutrient issues in your old tank or you're having issues, I don't see any problem with just putting it all in there. I don't see any issues at all with that. Plus, we don't have any fish to add anything extra. It'll give a chance for it to balance out. Let's see here. I answered that question. Man, I'm at 73, 14 minutes. Moving down. Next question. Why do you push versus pull through a calcium reactor? Well, I like just having a nice big old pump on the end. You guys know that I used to use I do now use a DC pump for my calcium reactor. So I like to keep the gate valve open because over time the gate valves start to clog. And actually one of my buddies here, Nick, local, actually got me onto this idea. So usually if you're pushing through a calcium reactor and you want to adjust the effluent, you have a gate valve. So you will adjust the gate valve open and of course more effluent will come out. But over time, sometimes that gate valve will get clogged and you have a problem. So what I've been doing is using a small DC pump, having the gate valve wide open and then just adjusting the flow with the DC pump. So there's nothing that's ever going to restrict the flow and eventually clog up. Because over time you'd be like, man, why is my alkalinity dropping? And then you look over and your effluent rate is barely coming out of the reactor. So your best bet is, for me, pushing it is awesome. And a lot of people, and Mike, you're the one I sold that Kimura to. When it comes to the Kimura, it simply just does not go fast enough for the demand of the tank. It's a pretty cool pump. It does have mechanical failure at some point. I mean, basically anything that's moving will indefinitely break. It will fail at some point. And for me personally, I can't rely on having an SPS tank with something that's going to fail or have a possibility of failing like that. So I kind of just took that out of the equation and just went with the DC pump. The chances of a DC pump having an issue are relatively slim compared to the Kimura. So, and then also the Kimura just didn't go fast enough. Even at 100%, that thing just did not pump enough through. I was considering dropping the reactor's pH to help, but that's only going to help for so long. Even at that point, I could drop that all the way down where it's almost going to turn into mush, and it probably wouldn't be enough once all these tanks are going. So I could just have a bigger calcium reactor would probably help, but you know, you're getting better use out of the Kimura. And I got a setup that's working pretty good right now. It's going to move down. Have you got the Trident from the Apex yet? And if so, would you trust it or auto dose? Okay, so I have the option. I've been offered the Trident a couple times. I have an ability to buy one whenever I want. But I don't want to. I'm cheap as shit. I don't want to spend the money on it right now. It does sound really cool. I like the concept of being able to automatically, check out my alkalinity because that's one of the things I test a lot. Would I use it for auto dosing? Probably not. I would use it to monitor my levels, and then I would dose according to keeping them stable to that level. I wouldn't put it on and be like, oh, I'm only going to dose based on what my alkalinity is showing on that. Because yes, I would use the Trident as my primary testing for alkalinity, but I'd still use the Hannah checker, and I would still even use the Red Sea just as a, even a triple backup, because it's good to get multiple readings to kind of see where you're at, because things do fluctuate. The key is just kind of having stability. But yeah, I'm probably going to get the Trident here in a couple months just for the sake of having it. But yeah, I was going to get it for Christmas, but I kind of saved the money for some other stuff. Moving down here. Hey guys, thanks for all the support, and thanks for all the donations. I see them coming in on the other screen, as I mentioned before. Thanks again for all the donations on this super chat. And someone's going to give me shit for even having super chat open. Oh man, he's begging for money. Oh god, I can hear it now. Fucking people. Okay. Don't get me going off on that tangent. This is a Q&A only. Rambling will be in a video next week. All right, moving down here. Next question. Are your power heads the Jabo SOW20s? I just bought one for my 125 and was wondering what you think about them. I use the right now, I killed the PP20s. I did a video on that a couple weeks ago. I killed those. So yeah, no PP20s. I am using the WP60s right now. WP60s or WP40s. One of the two. I have them in the tank, but I'm using the WP series, and they're pretty good. Those have been in there for a while. Jabo, they were more reliable earlier on. Now their manufacturing process, and I've said this before, it's just kind of taking a shit. I don't really know why. I mean, maybe they just got more popular and they want to, I don't know. I don't have an excuse, but they're pretty good for the price, and I'm going to keep using the Jabos, and I did hear that the SOWs were pretty good, so you should be all right, man. Moving down here. Do you need to cycle a quarantine tank, 10-gallon if needed? Yeah, you do need this. You need to cycle any quarantine tank. I usually like to use a sponge filter. So for a 10-gallon, you put a hang on the back, whatever sponge filter or even a regular filter. Go ahead and put your heater in there. Throw some water from your main display. Maybe in a few days, add a couple pieces of flake food just to kind of keep the bacteria going in there. Something to eat. But yeah, you should definitely quarantine it, and hopefully that's a specific you were looking for. Let's go ahead and move down here. Next question from Glenn. Hey, Glenn. Hey, thanks for the donation. I think it's your second donation today, something like that. Well, I appreciate it, man. I wanted to type more, but I was limited on characters. My new tank will be all new rock, therefore new bacteria. Do coral care as much as fish? Well, okay, so you want the tank to be stable. And a lot of people, there's debate out there and people saying that the tank doesn't need to be cycled before you add coral. I find it to be false. I think your goal is to make the tank as stable as possible before you add your coral. So I would say, attached to your previous question, I would add all the rock, give it some time for the bacteria to kind of build up and get normalized, probably a couple weeks. It shouldn't take very long, especially since it's been curing for so long and you already got established rock. It shouldn't take very long at all, actually. And then, yes, I'm a big believer in making sure the tank is completely cycled before adding any fish or anything living in there, even hermit crabs and stuff like that, because you don't want to expose them to any kind of ammonia or any shit like that. So, yeah. Hopefully that answers your question. I hope so. I mean, do they care as much as fish? I don't know if they care as much, but I care about it as much as fish. I would prefer that the tank was cycled before adding them. And it went all the way down to the bottom of the list. Of course it did. Okay, so next question. Hey, which fans do you use in your canopy? Ones I bought are noisy as fuck. I know that you probably said that before. To be honest, I don't know the brand. It might be in the DIY canopy video on the 300-gallon playlist. Nice bike, by the way. I see it's a little stretched out there. I don't know the brand. I think you are also one of the members. I might be wrong. The name looks really familiar, and it's not popping up on my end, which is something I got to look into. The member icons are not popping up on this program, so I'm going to have to ask them about that. But you can hit me up via email, and I can try to find the screenshot in which I bought them. I think it was on Amazon, and they're relatively quiet until the fish keep messing around and getting water up in them, and then it turns to salt, and then they start ticking. But other than that, they're pretty calm, and they're connected to a 12-volt DC adapter, which is probably one of my old Jabo adapters. I just cut and wired it in there. And again, that is all going to be in the playlist for the 300 gallon for the canopy build. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's see here. Shit, I scrolled all the way down again. Guys, I got to give me a little bit of break here trying to figure out this program. A shout out to Mike Lemming for hooking me up with the program, getting me a little bit of a discount on it for the first month and kind of teaching me a little bit about it. It's just taking me a little while, that's all. Next question. Hey, I have a nano Bayou tank for 1 year now. I haven't made a single water test. Should I be worried? Hammers and torches are tripled in size and test water. Hey man, if it's working, don't break it. But I mean, it's probably a good idea to test your water and see what's going on there. Salinity and stuff like that. I mean, you said you haven't made a single water test. I'm assuming maybe like alkalinity or something. You test your salinity, stuff like that. You'd have to be if you're doing anything to it. Yeah, I wouldn't be worried if it's growing. Shit, I mean, you're doing something right. Next question, Robin. My nitrates and phosphates are hitting 0. Can I add more fish to bring them up and keep them, or feeding and everything else is the same? Okay. You can add more fish, and of course that will help increase your bio load. They're going to eat, and of course they're going to go to the bathroom. That turns to nitrates and phosphates. You didn't really say what you have for coral or anything in the tank suffering from the lack of nutrients. You can always dose nitrates and phosphates. I have it on my website. I might as well put that banner up for the sake of switching things around. So you can go to the website here, and I do have nitrates and phosphates. It's extremely popular. I dose it here in my system automatically every single day, and it keeps my nutrients above 0 at least to make sure the tank does well. So, but yeah, it's cheaper to dose nitrates and phosphates than to buy fish and go through quarantine and all that whole process. So it's your call on that. Next question. How long do you recommend to put SPS in a new system after cycle? Now for me, when I cured the rock for this 300, we'll just use that as an example. So I cured the rock for 3 months, and then I put my first SPS in the beginning of the year. So I gave it about a month or so before I added my first corals, and that was just kind of to stabilize the system, even though the rock was cured, but it did sit out for about 24 hours while I was breaking it up and going through that whole process. So, some of the bacteria died. So I figure a month or so is more than enough for a cycled tank. So of course, you don't want to, you're not going to count the cycling time for that month. You're going to wait till the tank is cycled. A month later, putting in SPS is definitely fine. I don't see any issues with that. Moving down here. What if you don't have water to start with for a cycle of a quarantine is what I was really asking. Thanks for the advice. Okay, so if you don't have water from a main display to start a quarantine tank, simply just use freshly mixed salt water. You can dose ammonia, or you can add some bacteria in a bottle. I've had people do that actually multiple times. You buy that little pre-made bacteria. I think Bulk Resupply offers it. I don't freaking know the name of the top of my head, but you can use that to cycle the filter and just have a sponge filter hanging back in there, or you can technically cycle it by putting a little bit of food in and waiting a few weeks for it to cycle. It's your call. It depends on how much time you have. If you're looking for a quick setup, using some of that bacteria would probably be beneficial. Of course, still give it a little bit of time, and you might want to feed the tank a little bit just to make sure the bacteria can get established on the sponge filter or hang on the back. But you should be good with that. Moving down. Want to buy more live rock from store. How long can it be safely out of water tank while in transit? Okay. Well, I mean, shit, usually when you buy it from the store, they kind of put it in bags, which already has a little bit of water in it. So it's not getting completely dry. It's not totally exposed to the air. I think you're going to be fine. I mean, a few hours is not going to be a big deal. If you have rock in your tank already, then, adding some rock that might have had a little bit of bacteria die off on the way home, it's not going to be a huge deal. Buying live rock from a store, though, I would never do it. I personally would never buy live rock from a store. I think you're just setting yourself up for issues depending on where they get it from. So ideally, you want to buy dry rock, cure it separately, and then add it to your tank once it's cured. But, to each his own. You can do whatever works for you, man. Moving down. Have you tried to grow high-end acropores like Walt Disney? Yes, I actually have some in the grow out system now. I have some high-end corals in that tank. I just haven't talked about them, haven't done anything about them because they're not big enough to really care about. I mean, they're growing, but once they get big enough to get some good colony pictures and get them up on the website, I'll talk about them then. But yes, I do have higher-end corals. I plan on moving into that direction more. But I'll be honest with you guys. I sell a lot of my corals for like $20 to like $45. Like really high end, like higher stuff is like 45, $55. I feel bad selling somebody a coral for $100. Especially putting that in a bag or a cup and shipping it, and just like, whew, that's a gamble. I don't know. I'll do it if somebody really wants to, but I just feel weird about, charging people so much money for a coral. I mean, it's just because of the risk factor involved with SPS, but people do it every day. Let me get back over here. Next question. Hey, Bradley, thanks for the donation. Can you overskim a aquarium? My new skimmer is recommended 3 times the size of my tank. It is going on. Okay. So I usually do double the recommended water volume. So I have the Niles Quantum 300, which is, I think, rated for 1,000 or 1,100 gallons or something like that. And I have it on a 300-gallon tank, technically a 500-gallon tank now. So still double. And yes, you can overskim. It is possible. So if you have a skimmer that's really powerful, say, so because yours is times 3 the water volume, I would do a little bit more of a dry skim and see where your nutrients are at. And what's really good about having a skimmer that's strong is that you're able to adjust that, so you can do a little bit more of a wet skim to pull out more, adjusting your nutrients. So just start dry, see where you're at, so you don't skim the tank, you don't wipe the tank out all its nutrients, and then just fiddle with it to see what works for you. Hopefully take care of that. Moving down, Mike, it shows icon members. Okay, it did show them. Okay, well, it didn't show up on my end, at least not that I saw, so I'm gonna have to check up and see later through the chat. Thanks for that info, Mike. Let's go ahead and move down here. How many fish can I add to my 180? I have 9 now. I just don't want to run into problems adding too many fish. Okay. 180 gallon tank, 9 fish. You didn't say what type of fish they were. Are they all 9? Do you have 9 10-inch fish, or do you have 9 1-inch fish? So I would say if you have 9 already, I would say add those. You'd be good to go. I mean, sorry, they're already in there. So you have 9. So I would say maybe, shit. It's kind of hard to answer because you didn't say what kind of fish they were. I don't want to give you bad information, man. So you have 9 fish already. And there's no way that I'd catch that answer. You can put in the comment section what you currently have, if you can. Give me a quick rundown of how big they are, and I'll give you an idea of how many. But as a general rule, if you have 9 tangs and a 180, you're not going to want to add any more tangs. If you have 9 chromis, then yeah, you could probably get away with adding some more fish. So just keep that in mind. You definitely, I don't know if the 1 inch per gallon rule really matters at this point in time with the advances in our technology, but you can go over that if you want. So I'll try to look out for your comment. Give me some more information, and I'll try to find. I'm only 10 minutes behind schedule here. Moving down. Let's go here. Oh, of course, it scrolled all the way down. Bear with me, guys. I'm trying to get the comment section here in somewhat of an order. Okay, next question. As I said, I plan to set up my new 180 gallons soon. I have a Caribbean Sea, live rock, and base rock. Do I need to start the cycling the rock in the brute container to get a head start with a new tank rub? Yes, you should definitely start curing your rock as soon as possible. The longer you can cure it, even if it's, that's kind of an extreme. So if your tank's not going to be here for 6 months, you could technically cure for 6 months. It's not going to hurt it in any way, shape, or form. So the longer you can actually cure it, the better off you're going to be. So do that. Let's see. This is part 2 of the question that came in right afterward. As the Caribbean Sea live rock, I guess you meant live, already has bacteria on it and becomes live when introduced to the tank for faster cycling. Maybe the base rock what do you think? Just cure it all. Just cure all the rock as long as you possibly can, and then you'd be good to go on that. It's really, I'm sorry if the questions seem to be kind of mixing up a little bit, because the comment section does not working for me right now. I kind of have to figure out how to keep it from scrolling all the way back down when I click off of somebody's name. It's like, so right now I'm about to click off of your name to go to another question, and it's going to send me all the way down about 10 minutes from now. So it makes it difficult to kind of keep things organized. So I apologize for that. Let's go to move down. This is the third part. See, your third part came in. Should I add turbo start? No, I wouldn't do that. You don't need to add any turbo start or anything like that. If you're curing the rock, you're good to go. Let's go to move down here. How thick is the glass, and what algae magnet do you recommend? So I use the Tiger Shark float off of BRS. It's the bigger one. It's rated for a 300-gallon tank. I have 1/2 inch thick glass on the 300. all the way around. It's ultra clear on the front and the two sides, and tempered on the bottom, and of course drilled on the back with their own custom aquariums paint on the back there. Okay, yeah. Let's get some thumbs up here, guys. Yeah, let's get some here. I can't really see exactly everything that's coming through, but yeah, hit the thumbs up if you've been here for a while. Moving down here. Do you currently offer fish quarantine as a service? If not, is this something that you may do in the future? I have done it in the past. I've actually done it for several people, and I stopped because I feel bad because I have to charge a person not only for the fish, but then I have to charge them for the salt and the quarantine time. So I feel bad if they buy fish and it dies during quarantine, they just lost all that money. So instead of giving people bad news all the time, I just guide people in the right direction to do their own quarantine, give them all that information, and that way they can do it on their own. But if there's somebody that's like, I can't quarantine at all, I need you to do it, then I'll make an exception. But they got to understand what they're getting into when we're starting that whole process. Let's go here. Okay, Josh, my purple tip hammer is almost transparent in color. How do I get the color back? You're going to be looking at increasing your nutrients. I'm assuming if you test your nitrates and phosphates, you're probably pretty low. If it's going transparent like that, how do you have it really high up in the rock structures, getting a ton of light? Because sometimes if you blast them really hard with light, the zooxanthellae will expel from the coral. So check your nutrients, try to get them up. Of course, you don't want to be sitting at 0. I recommend 3 to 5 ppm of nitrates, 0.7 to 0.15 of phosphates, and hammers and stuff like that don't need a lot of light. So try to keep them low. You can see in the video here that they're pretty much really low and underneath the rock structure. So just those all got to be factors on keeping the color happy, or keeping the coral happy with the coloration. Moving down. And what's the best way to, so this must be like part 5 or something of this. Okay. And what's the best way to move things from an old tank to a new tank, since I will use all the water and rock from the current system? Okay. So if you're moving from one system to another, I don't know if they're in the same room or whatever. If they're in the same room, it's simple as take out, put in the new tank. I would recommend draining some of the water out of the old tank into the new one, moving the rock over. Once it gets kind of exposed to air, move it into the tank. That way it's not exposed to air as long as it would be if you just took all the rock out and then took all the water out afterwards. So just empty a little bit of water, move some of the rock over, and just continue that process. It shouldn't be too big of a deal. It's not too hard. But if it's in a different room, I recommend like brute trash cans and stuff. You can put the rock with the old water in there, and then you can drag it or put it on wheels and bring it into another room. Right, moving down. Glenn, dry versus wet skim. Also, I'm starting a new system. LFS guy said to take the skimmer collector cup off for the first bit until the nutrients come up. Should have done. Okay, so if it's a new system, most people take the skimmer cup off just because it usually overflows. I noticed on the Nio skimmers that I don't really have a break-in period on the skimmer, but 9 out of 10 times if you're using any skimmer and it's a new system, I would keep this cup off. That way it breaks in. But if it's a new system in general, I don't see why you would want the cup off. Say it's an old skimmer, you just have a new system. Just dry skim. Skimmers do more than just pull nutrients out. They aerate the water, and it benefit the pH. So it's good to keep it on. And then the cup itself is going to catch some stuff. So I would definitely keep it on, and I would definitely keep the cup on, and then just dry skim at minimum. Just get a little bit out. You're going to get something. And then the nutrients will balance out over time. Once you start adding fish and feeding and stuff, and it's pretty much the first few months, it's just kind of a balancing act. And once things start getting stable, you can make any other adjustments. Hopefully that answers your question, buddy. Moving down here. Can I use Chaeto in a sump during a cycling? You can, but most of the time, if it's like a fresh tank and you have basically just say you just put dry rock in there and you didn't want to put it in your bin, you just want to put dry rock in a tank with no light, and you just want to cure it that way, then yeah, you could put Chaeto in it, but the chances of it surviving it's a 50-50. I've had it be successful where it survived. There was enough nutrients coming off the rock and during the cycling process that it stayed alive. And then I've had other times where it just died out. So it's going to depend. I personally would just simply not put Chaeto in until you're starting to see nitrates pop up on your test kit, so indicating that the cycling process is almost complete. And then, yeah, that's when I would add Chaeto. But it's your call. Chato's not that expensive. It's not going to kill you to put a little bit in and see if it works out. It's either going to grow or it's not. So moving down here. Glenn, thanks for the donation. Hey, Travis, love these chats. They're the shit. Hey, thanks, Glenn. You did a lot of support on me tonight, man. I really appreciate that. Definitely do. All right. Moving down here. Do you have a butterfly fish in your tank? I do not have a butterfly fish. It's been something, I don't know. I'm a tang guy. I don't know how to explain it. I really like tangs. I like clownfish, and that's just kind of my thing. But I do not have one in my tank. No, I do not. Let's go and scroll down here. Man, Mike Lemming's blowing up my shit. I don't know what you're doing. Okay, next one. Neil. My 75-gallon tank has Dino for the second time. First time. Okay. Dinos, and I had to remove it with the sand. Okay. Wow, you had to remove the sand. Now my tank has a stringy, snotty stuff. Okay, Dino. NO3 has been at 20 ppm, PO4 at 0.20. So, okay. So you got your nutrients up and you still got the Dino. Now, the only type of Dino that I have ever personally experienced is the kind that lives in a low nutrient environment. I have absolutely zero experience with the Dino, because there are different species, obviously. So there's the species that's going to simply just pop up when the bacteria or the nutrients in the tank are really low, and then you're going to get the Dino that way. It sounds like you got the kind that, even with your nutrients up. So for that approach, when it comes to the ones, if you're kind of dealing with the snotty stuff, a lot of flow and manual removal has been something that has worked, even on any type of Dino. Just simply manual removal is a big thing. I think I did on the video I posted last week. I showed you guys how I was scraping the back of the tank with a razor blade, and it had a hose attached to that razor blade. Then that hose went down into a filter sock into the sump, and I sat there and I just scraped all the glass in the tank and sucked out all that stuff, and then went around and got anything that got to the bottom of the tank. And manual removal is a really big key to removing Dino, period, regardless of the type you have. So I can't help you with the nutrient, having that many nutrients and still having Dino. I don't have the information for it. I don't have enough experience with that particular type. But I will say that regardless of the type, manual removal is your best approach. And I'm talking every single day, if not multiple times a day. Like if you get up in the morning, you got some time before you head out, get in there. Good thing, like I said, use a filter sock. Try to manually remove it with a hose into the filter sock. That way you don't have to turn the tank off. You don't have to do any kind of major water changes. The water just goes right back into the sump. Or you can put it into a 5-gallon bucket and dump it back into the sump, whatever works for you. So you can keep the tank running. You can manually remove as much as you can when you can, and then just keep doing that every single day, and you'll get on top of it over time. I definitely check out Reef to Reef and see if anybody has an opinion on that particular type, because unfortunately, I can't help you with that, buddy. Sorry. I feel bad when I can't answer people's questions. But like I said, guys, I've been doing this for 5.5 years, so I definitely don't have all the answers. But I feel enough knowledge to give you guys a little bit of help, at least. I just don't have. There's just some shit I don't know, man. Sorry. Moving down here. Man, Mike is every other fucking person in the comment section is Mike Lemming. Mike Lemming, what are you talking about? Some bitch, you're just taking up space, making it harder for me to read questions. Motherfucker. All right, moving down here. Why not use black boxes on the last tank as a comparison of what lights to grow best as a good time compared to growth? Okay, let me explain this. Okay, so I used black box LEDs early on the 125. Yes, it grows coral. It does fine. But when your livelihood and your business depends on having the best possible growth you can get, having, if you think about it, you got $1,000 worth of different acros in a tank. I don't want to rely on $90 Chinese ship boxes for lighting. I prefer to have something a little bit higher end. When it comes to growth comparison, I just look at the 125. That tank, it grew relatively well for the short time that it was up. I've just moved on beyond that stuff, and it's nothing other than the fact that I just need the quality to kind of go with the business theme. If it was another situation, then maybe I would consider doing that. Let's go ahead and move down here. Hey, Travis, thanks for answering my last chat a few days back. Thinking about getting rid of my 2-inch sand bed out of my display. Are you happy with bare bottom, and are there any Okay. So when it comes to bare bottom, I get this question a lot. Am I happy with bare bottom compared to sand bed? it really comes down to personal preference. A lot of people like the look of sand. I like the look of sand. I have no problem with the way it looks. But when it comes to the amount of flow that I want in my tank, I need more flow. And a bare bottom is really the only way I can get away with that. Also, nutrient control, cleaning up detritus is so much easier when it comes to a bare bottom tank. So it's just kind of one of those things that I have to have a bare bottom tank. I'm trying to explain on the fact that I'm really happy with it. And plus, when it gets all purple and you have that nice color at the bottom, it reflects the light just like sand would up into underneath the corals. It takes a little while for that to kick back up, and if you mess with your alkalinity too much, you'll probably end up killing it off. Guilty of doing that a couple times, but yeah, it's personal preference. If you like a lot of flow and you like SPS, bare bottom is usually the way to go on that. Let me go ahead and get this video up that I just finished. It's 4 hours long, and it's made specifically for the screen share. So let me get that up because that would be nice to have. Maybe it will work. I don't know. I'm trying to get it to work here. Give me a second. Talk amongst yourselves, people. Trying to get this up. Nope, it's not gonna do it. Not that I can see. No, we're gonna have to do what we have now, and then I'll just have to fix that for our next live stream. It's not gonna work tonight. All right, moving on. I have done everything to get rid of cyano, but it keeps coming back. At this point, should I just let the tank grow, let it grow, and only do water changes weekly? Well, when you say you've done everything to get rid of cyano, I mean, if you've done everything to get rid of cyano, the cyano would probably be gone. I mean, there's got to be something that you're not doing. Cyano just doesn't stick around because you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing. Cyano's there because you're either overfeeding, you have too many fish in your tank, your nutrient export's not good enough, you don't have enough flow in the tank, to help get the cyano up and moving it out of the system. So double check everything you're doing. Check your bio load, man. I mean, do you have a ton of fish in this tank? There's not much information here. You're overfeeding. Those are all main reasons why. And I would stick with a weekly water change of 30%. Usually when people are dealing with stuff like that, or even a 30% twice a week, depending on kind of what you have in the tank. If you have a lot of SPS, I wouldn't be doing that too much because it could be, depending on your salt, could be a little bit of a fluctuation for alkalinity that you might not like. So I would, just 30% weekly water change would even be okay, and try to get that down. Manual removal is a good thing. Try to stay away from chemicals if you can. Just get your nitrates and phosphates down, particularly your phosphates. Had a burp there. Turn the mic off. The shit was going to be loud. Okay, moving down. Mike's still talking. Mike is still fucking talking. Mike! Motherfucker, man. It's like somebody leaves a comment, then it's Mike, and then it's Mike, and it's Mike. Oh, there's somebody else. Then it's Mike. Fucking Mike. Lucky I like you, man. Okay, part two of my dino question. Got cut off. Yeah, because I don't know why it only lets you guys put in a few sentences. I'm not really sure about that. But anyways, PO4 is 0.21. Dosing bacteria and fish well. Okay. UV sterilizer too. Okay, so UV sterilizer is actually really good when it comes to fighting dino. I know that when I had it in the 300, I actually have two of those Jabo UV sterilizers. I had the one that's normally running, and then I had an extra because I was going to use it for a different build. But then I threw it on the tank, and it definitely helped. UV sterilizer is a big help for that. And what you're dosing bacteria. Now, I don't know. I mean, I've again, limited knowledge here on that type of dino. I don't know what the benefit of dosing bacteria would be. I can't give you information on that. Sorry. But as I mentioned before, your manual removal, the UV sterilizer is going to be a huge help. And then, yeah, your nutrients are kind of high. I mean, honestly, if you're at 0.15 is usually is pretty decent. You start getting cyano around 0.20, not a little bit lower, but your nutrients seem to be fine. So I would double check that bacteria. I haven't done a sufficient amount of research to tell you if that's a good idea, but yeah, I mean, cyano is bacteria, so you're dosing bacteria. So yeah, what you can do, Neil, because I want to obviously figure this out, because if we could figure it out, then I can have the answer for a future question. Somebody might have the same problem. email me. I will put the email up here. Email me what product you're using when it comes to all this bacteria stuff and everything. Just give me all the information, and I'm going to look at it a little bit more closely this week and try to help you out. And that way I can do my own research and I can have an answer for somebody else, because that's kind of bothering me. So, yeah, time to live and learn. And the sumbitch chat went all the way down. Of course it did. Mike again. Sumbitch. Holy fuck, Mike. Mike, you need to take a timeout. I'm gonna be putting you in timeout if you keep talking in the comment section. Because not only are the comments, they are now 7 minutes behind. I'm trying to get caught up, and all I see is your ass in the comment section talking and talking and talking. So, Mike, shut the fuck up, okay? Please, thank you. Anyways, moving on. I would go bare bottom, but I like Diamond, Watchman Goby, and my yellow coarse wrasse, and I hate the sand containers. Okay. All right. So, yeah. A lot of people ask me this too. I have a Melanoris wrasse in a bare bottom tank, and I have no issues with the Melanoris wrasse. He sleeps in the rocks. He sleeps in the zoas. There's no problems with that. When it comes to the Watchman Goby, yeah, you're going to have sand for him. There's no way around that. And yeah, the cups of sand definitely suck. So it's your call, man. Fish happiness or coral happiness with flow. It's your call on that. Maybe find a happy medium. Put a little bit of sand in there. Not too much that blows around. Maybe get the power heads a little bit farther off the sand so you get the flow, but not enough to disturb it. Play around with it. Moving down. Have you decided about the lighting, Travis? Why not just throw a couple T5s either side of the XR15s? Okay, I answered this a little bit earlier, Drama D. I don't want any more T5s in the house. I just don't want to keep paying for them. Not only for the bulbs, but I don't want my electric bill is stupid high right now. So I don't want to keep adding T5s. I don't want the extra heat down here. And I think I'm just going to throw one more XR15 over that tank, see what the par levels are, and make adjustments on the height of those lights to maybe even it out to make it better. So we're going to see what one more XR15 is, and I'm going to get it probably next week. And I'll let you guys know as soon as I set that up. Let's go ahead and get down here. Anyone know anything about rock flower nems? Yeah, rock flower nems are pretty cool. They don't do much. I mean, they're not like they're walking around all over the place. You usually put them in a spot. They tend to get happy relatively quickly. I did see a video on Instagram with them spawning, which is pretty cool. So rock flower nems are pretty cool. I'd never seen a clownfish go in one of them, but then again, I've only had a couple of them in my lifetime. So, but yeah, they're pretty cool. They're relatively cheap compared to others, depending on if you're getting ultra. If you're going for ultra ones, you're going to probably pay out the ass for them. Okay, next question. So Mike has an actual question instead of talking shit now. Okay, Travis, do you adjust your elk on the water, change water? No, I do not do that. Why would I do that? What would be the point of that? I put the water in the tank, and then I use my calcium reactor to make any adjustments. Because you got to think, if you're trying to increase your elk in your main display with a water change, you would have to put a ton of elk into a small water change to even dent the bigger tank. So I mean, depending on the water volume. So no, that wouldn't make any sense. I would not do that. Okay, moving down. How long do you run your lights for? I heard 8 to 9 hours is good. Been running for 10 to 11 hours and seems to be getting too much algae. Okay. Well, when it comes to algae, I mean, you can lower the light down. You can lower the time down. It does help with algae, but usually if you're getting algae, I mean, light is light. I mean, you can have it on for freaking 5 hours and still get algae opposed to 10 hours. But right now I keep I believe my LEDs are on for almost 12 or 13 hours a day. Of course, there's an hour ramping on each side. So I guess that technically counts as them being on, even though they're ramping up and down. But yeah, I run my lights pretty long. If you're having algae, it's not going to be because you're lighting. It's because you got higher nutrients. You got to address that separately. Moving down. Mike's talking again. Motherfucking Mike. All right, go ahead. Next question. Do you think a yellow tang would be too big for a 55-gallon tank? Dimensions are, yeah. One yellow tang, a small baby yellow tang, no. But a full-grown 6-7-year-old yellow tang, yes, they get really big. Not like length-wise, mostly girth-wise. But yeah, one yellow tang, full-grown, yes, will be too small of a tank. But if it's a small yellow tang, no, you'll be fine for a while. But I wouldn't be adding any other tanks to that tank, that's for sure. Maybe one tang, a yellow tang, and some other fish is fine, but I would not be adding any more. And then people were telling Mike to shut up. I'm just seeing this stuff now, yeah. Fucking Mike, shut up. That's funny. And it scrolled all the way down. You're not as far behind as you think. Yeah, I'm catching up. It's taken a while. I'm trying to get through these questions quickly. I'm just got to skip over Mike's bullshit. That's about it. I mean, if he wasn't talking, we wouldn't have a problem. I don't think. It's always one guy fucking it up for everybody. Okay, moving on. If you guys like the video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know, man. We got what 160 people in here still. I don't know, man. I don't know how you guys can listen to me this long. Hour and a half. All right, next question here from Nick. The bacteria help out complete food source for the dinos. Has to be heard of for bacteria. Though Dr. Tim's havoc. Okay, I have on Nick. I don't have. I mean, I get what you're saying. I don't have any information on that, man. I can't. I don't know enough about it. I hate to give bad information or even give an opinion on something I don't know enough about. I feel like an asshole if I try to. If you're trying to. The best way to sound like an asshole is to try to give advice about something you don't know about. Your best bet is just be like, yo, bro, I don't know. I'm going to do the research on it, though, after this. And when I get the email, really from Neil, I'm going to dive into Dino, that particular strain of it, and kind of see how it's working. Like I said, from my experience when it comes to Dino, simply getting your nutrients up, manual removal has been the key to every time I've ever gone, and any client that's ever gone, or anybody that I've known up to this point, that's been the fix. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to do some more research, man. Next question. Okay, my BRS doser doses 1.9 milliliters per minute. My timer only runs for 1 minute. I need to dose 3 milliliters per day to feed my 0.2 DKs draw. My thought is to restrict the drip by tightening the screw in the type of I don't know if that's going to be reliable because the tube's going to flex over time. It's not going to be consistent. You could try it and see if that works, man. You could try tighten the screw. Yeah, that's a new problem. I've never heard of that before. Yeah, you can see if it works. Just understand that eventually the tube will flex a little bit, and as long as the screw doesn't come undone, you should be good. By the way, try that out and let me know how that works out for you, man. Because I've never even thought of that as an option. Shit, learning stuff all day. Mike's still talking. Hey, I don't want to be an asshole, but I'm gonna need my moderator to shut Mike up for like 5 fucking minutes so I can catch up on these questions. Please and thank you. No offense, Mike. I love you, but you're pissing my chat off. All right, next question. Can you plug anyone for me for a rimless mesh tank cover? DIY won't be badass enough. Okay. I do not have a recommendation. I've only done DIY for that, for the BRS DIY kit. It's been really good for me. I do not have a recommendation for that. I think, does CJ have something like that? I'm almost positive. He must have some kind of lid. Don't quote me on it. He has something like that. You might want to check out his channel, CJ's Aquariums, and see if his lid is what you're looking for. Yeah, sorry, buddy. I just use the DIY stuff. Will carbon remove Dino X? I dosed 2 doses so far, and dinos are pretty much gone, but my hammer coral is looking like it's withering away. Will carbon remove Dino X? I don't really think so. I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. Never even used Dino X before. You guys are figuring out that I haven't used a lot of shit. I just, like I said, I do more natural methods when it comes to reefing. That's just been my philosophy from the beginning. I try to keep it as natural as possible, and I don't really fuck with chemicals. Now that I'm seeing that everybody else is, man, maybe I'm fucking doing something wrong. I don't know. But carbon removes a lot of shit from the tank, even trace elements and stuff. So there's a pretty good chance that carbon will remove it. I don't have the exact answer for that, so I can't give you a definite on that. So I'm sorry, Travis. And hey, happy Travis. I'm Travis. What's up, Travis? Yeah, man, I'm just realizing you guys are using a whole bunch of shit that I've never used before, and I feel like an idiot not being able to answer that for you. I guess you meant Aptasia. I'm just guessing. Maybe it's just a typo, buddy. So the best way to get rid of Aptasia, the most effective way is to use nudibranchs. That's also the most expensive way to do it. And again, if you have a RAS, you don't want to be pissing around with nudibranchs, man. At least not during the day, because he's going to pick them off pretty quick. Manual removal, I know that there is that rod that I used. And if you go to my beginner guide playlist, I have a how to remove Aptasia. There's 3 methods that I use in that. You can do Aptasia X with a syringe or the little fucking needle thing there, which can be a pain depending on how big your tank is. You can electrocute them with that zapper, whatever it is. You can use a laser. But the best way, the most effective way to even get the babies is with nudibranchs. But again, it's expensive, and hopefully you don't have a RAS. I got to check and see if my moderator took care of that issue. No, see so far. Okay, man. Let's go here. How can I tell if I have enough flow? Well, you didn't say what, Dan, you didn't say what type of tank you have. Usually with SPS, the more random flow, the better. If the coral polyp extension, usually polyp extension is a pretty good indication on overall happiness of the coral. And your goal is, of course, to make your tank as happy as you possibly can. So I would look at polyp extension. If it comes to SPS, random flow in different directions, pulsing flow and stuff like that is good. And also if you have a bare bottom, if you're looking to move detritus around, you're going to want a little bit more flow for that. So look at your corals. If they look happy and fluffy, then you have enough flow. If they look sunk in and pissed off and the polyps are getting blasted, or if there's a coral just doesn't look happy near a power head, then there's too much flow. You might want to consider turning it down a little bit. I'm going to move down here, and of course it skipped again. Oh man, Mike, I gotta check and see. Did we take care of Mike? I still see him, but it could just be the delay. Mike, I'm going to call you after this chat and have a little fucking talk with you. Just telling you right now, as soon as we're done, I'm calling you. Be ready for it. All right. Let's go ahead and get here. Okay, next question. Hey, Travis, when will you be doing the new tank, man? Not really when to add the Refugium a new system. When will I be doing the new tank? Like building the new system, the bigger system? Refugium. I'm trying to make sure I read that right. Hey, Travis, when will you be doing the new tank, man? No, really when to add a Refugium new system. Okay. All right. So to add a Refugium to a new system, it's up to you. You can add Chaeto during the cycling process, but I usually add Chaeto as soon as it's done cycling. So as soon as you have nitrates on your test kits, go ahead and throw in your Refugium, get it up and running. You're good to go on that. When I'm starting my new tank, if that's part of the question, I don't know if I read that right. It won't be for a couple of years. So it's going to be a hell of a tank, and we'll fucking have to take out a fucking home loan to pay for it or something. That's going to be nuts. Moving down here. Okay, next question. We have exactly 23 minutes left out of this 2-hour live stream. If you haven't hit the like button yet, hit it, because I don't know why you're not doing it right now. All right, so moving on. I have a wave maker from my local fish store that can sway the whole water column in my nano, and I'm not sure how powerful to make it. Okay, again, Dan, this was a previous question. I think I addressed this already. It just goes to show you my memory doesn't go back very far. I would say if the corals are happy with the flow and the amount of flow that you have on it, leave it the way it is. If they're getting sucked in and not happy, turn it down and then make adjustments based on that. All right, moving down. Not sure why getting algae, been dosing Vibrant for 4 weeks now. Doesn't seem to help. One thing that I've noticed, I'm guessing Vibrant is new. I'm going to adjust myself on my seat here. I'm guessing Vibrant is a new product. Again, I've never used it. Now I'm going to have to, I've already wrote it down. I'm going to have to go check it out and see kind of all the stuff that's going on with it, because it seems like everybody is using it. So I don't know what the recommended dose is on. I don't know how long you got to be using it. But the rule of thumb is if you're going to make adjustments to your tank, do it naturally. Try to avoid these products, because do you really want to be dependent on something? There's a reason why you have algae in your tank. You have excess nutrients. So find the source of the excess nutrients. Are you feeding too much? You have too many fish? Is your rock shitty? I mean, you not enough filtration. You got a crappy ass skimmer. I mean, there's all these other reasons. You should never use a product to fix your problems. You should find the natural way. Mother Nature was like, yo, bro, I got algae on my twat. How am I going to get rid of it? Well, get a fucking Refugium. Cut down on nutrients. I don't know. Just do it naturally. And you can tell it's getting late, because I'm starting to go off the ledge. This is what all y'all fucking here for anyways. Natural method. I don't know what Vibrant is. I know a little bit because I've heard about it from a freaking 1,000 people. I'm going to look it up after the video, after I get done bitching at Mike. Moving on. Would you reef without an apex? No. No, I would not. Not to the level that I'm at now with the amount of money and business and everything. Nope. I can't even go anywhere for a weekend trip until I buy a $6,000 generator that turns on automatically. So not having an apex, I probably have an anxiety attack, just fucking taking a shit upstairs and not seeing my tank. Moving down. Thanks for all your great advice. Best wishes. Hey, man. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate all the support. Billy, thanks for the donation. Thank you. Really appreciate that, buddy. Okay. Love that you're humble enough to say I don't know and I want to find out. Yeah. Hey guys, I'm all about learning. Like I said, 5.5 years or so in the hobby so far. I started with a 25-gallon tank. It looked like dog shit. My 125, my first one looked like dog shit. Did the research, and here we are with a 300 after 2 years of growth. So if that says anything, that means that anybody can have whatever tank you want to have. You just got to be willing to put the research in. It's that simple. Doesn't matter, if you've done it for 1,000 fucking years or not. If you put the research in and you truly want to be successful in this hobby, you will be. That's it. It's that simple. You can have anything you want in life if you want it bad enough. And I'm not trying to fucking motivational speak anybody. I'm just telling you, if you don't know something, maybe you don't know, go out and learn about it if you want to, and then just do your best to learn everything you can. So moving on here before I go off on a tangent. I've been dosing nitrates and my algae growth has been increasing, but my nitrates have been staying at less than 1 ppm. I am getting misrepresented tests residue. Yeah, you are. Yeah, if you have algae in your tank, I'm assuming you're dosing nitrates and you have algae growth in your tank. Am I reading that right? I've been dosing nitrates and my algae growth has been increasing. Is it algae growth in the tank or algae growth in your refugium? But my nitrates have been staying at less than 1 ppm. Am I getting misrepresented test results due to the algae growth? Okay. Well, if you're dosing nitrates and you have algae in your tank, you should not be dosing nitrates. My freaking brain hurts even thinking about that. If you have algae in your tank, don't dose nitrates or phosphates. Ixnay on the dosinay. That's not good. Now, if you have algae in your refugium and you want that to grow and say it's kind of lacking and it's dying off, yeah, you can increase your nutrients, which will help it grow. Oh, my brain hurts from that one. No offense or anything. I'm just fucking, I don't know. Moving on. Okay. What are your points of action when you notice STN? Okay. Do you go crazy trying to figure out cause and find out something acros will go downhill without cause? Okay. STN is a bane of my existence. And STN can come up for many different reasons. Mostly shading is the biggest cause on this tank. You can even see in the video right now, the fish of Hexamilli, see how dark it is underneath there? That's all STN that died off and now it's got algae on it. Or at least it turned brown. STN for me, when I see it, I just go, oh shit, oh, that sucks. And I just kind of see where it's coming from. I usually test right away. So if my alkalinity is fine, there hasn't been any major fluctuations over the week because I test multiple times. My nutrients are in a good range. Usually it comes down to shading. And if it's shading, there really isn't anything you can do about it. You can trim corals around, but yeah, I mean, there's really not much you can do when it comes to that. But most of the time, STN will stop if you fix the problem. It will stop. For example, you guys will see later, I'm going to do a video on the corals that I removed from this tank over the last month or so. We're about to come into that staghorn that I talked about earlier in the live stream, the script stag. That freaking thing was doing so good. Like you'll see in this video, it was nice and green. It was just doing awesome for the longest time. And then some of these other corals just started growing and bumping into it, which stressed it out and caused it to STN. Then it started getting shaded, which turned into more STN. Excuse me, I'm over here burping like a fucking crazy man. And so unfortunately, it got to the point where it STN'd, but some of it was still doing well. So I was like, okay, I'll leave it alone because some of it's going to die. It's going to keep growing. That's how reefs grow. Is the coral underneath gets shaded out, it dies, turns into more rock, and that's how reefs continue to grow and become, rock. So I was like, well, it's going to die. It is what it is, and you can clearly see here in this video the purple tort is shading out all that staghorn underneath there, and it's completely dead. I mean, you can see it now, but I had to remove that whole colony because it just took a shit. So I usually leave it alone and fix the problem. And then sometimes you can't fix the problem, and that's kind of what the point was of going on for that long. Moving down here, everyone's saying bye to Mike. Oh man, poor guy. Is he gone now? Okay, poor guy. I mean, I almost feel bad for him. He'll probably just get on another one of his accounts, come over and be a dick. Okay, next question. Glenn, hey Glenn. This money is strictly the R&D for the new t-shirts in your store. Okay. And thanks for answering my questions tonight. Hey man, thanks. I really appreciate the support, Glenn. You've definitely been asked good questions and supporting. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I really do, man. I mean, everything helps, and it's good to know. It's really, I don't know. I'm just going to kind of go off. We got 15 minutes left. I'm going to answer some more questions and probably go off on something. But the amount of support that has kind of happened over the last, I would say, year or so has been pretty, it's increased a lot. And especially over the last, this month, I'm going to talk about this in a rambling video this week, but I've kind of changed a little bit about not who I am, but kind of how I present myself to the public. So you guys have noticed I've done a little bit more swearing. I'm kind of off the cuff, making some not so nice jokes and kind of, having a good time with it and being, me. And that was the point, is when 2020 came, I was like, okay, I got to stop being this kind of robot talking PC, trying to make everybody like me bullshit. I'm just going to be myself. I'm going to talk the way I talk, and I'm going to say what's on my mind. And then the reality is there might be 100 of you in here right now that like me, and then there might just be 73 of you in here that hate me, that just want to hear me say something dumb. I mean, the reality is you can't make everybody happy. So my plan is, from this point forward, is I'm going to have fun. I'm going to try to help as many people as I possibly can, because the reality in life is nothing is meant to last forever. And not only is our reef tanks not meant to last forever, because anything can happen at any point, but nothing, even YouTube, none of this stuff is meant to last forever. The reality is I could fucking get my truck right now, go to the store, get T-boned, and be dead, and you'll never have another video from me. So my point is to try to live every single day being myself, doing exactly what I can do to help as many people as I possibly can to the best of my ability. And I'm going to do it for as long as I can. That is the point of the YouTube stuff. Of course, you guys support the channel by, these super chats, and you buy stuff from the website to support me. So it's like I help you guys, and then you help me survive and pay my bills. So it's just this cycle that keeps happening. I really enjoy what I do. I'm very happy. And then I honestly, one of the better things of all this is some of you guys come to me saying, hey, I didn't know anything. I watched your beginner guide series, and then this is what my reef tank looked like a year ago. Now look at it now. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm like, oh shit, man, that's awesome. I really like the fact that people are able to learn, especially from my mistakes, and to be successful. So yeah, so I didn't mean to go off on that. I just kind of wanted to clarify that, and I'll talk about it a little bit in our rambling video this week. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about the content. I mean, I think I got 4 videos out last week, and then I did a members only video on Monday, which is, just the member stuff is just kind of side. Like when I have stuff going on with Spike, or I got a new quarantine tank in and stuff like that, it's just extra content for those of you who want to support me on that level. And I fucking lost my spot in the chat. Of course I did. So we got what, 13 more minutes left. I am going to cut it exactly at 2 hours, because if I don't, I'm going to end up like other people and be going for a while. So let's go to Moon, try to answer some more questions. And yeah. How often would you siphon your sand if you had any? I'm debating about going bare bottom. Any suggestions, since I'm going to set up auto water changes, and I'm lazy? Okay, so it depends on how deep the sand is. If most people usually who put sand in their tank at this point, no one's really doing deep sand bed anymore. I've never personally had a deep sand bed. I've had them in refugiums. I actually have one now. But so if you have a deep sand bed, you should not be siphoning it. You don't want to do that, because the point of a deep sand bed is to have that denitrifying bacteria that helps process the nitrates out. Okay. Now, if you have like a 1 or 2 inch sand bed, yeah, and then whenever you do a water change, well, since you're doing auto water changes, that might be a little bit of an issue. But usually when you do a water change, you just want to go in there and take that little sucky cone dick extension looking tube thing. That's about the best description. You guys know what I'm talking about. And then just siphon the sand during your water changes. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, and that usually works out pretty well. Since you're doing auto water changes, you probably, well, shit, even if you go bare bottom, you still got to get the detritus out. So yeah, man. I mean, siphon it once a month. Try to do a water change separately once a month, just enough to siphon the sand bed. That would suffice. If you're going bare bottom, try to go in there once a month and try to remove the detritus. And this answers the question early. CJ has a lid plug. Okay, yeah. So check that out. That answers the question there. That'll give you, because I don't use lids. I use canopies with doors, so that's usually my lid experience. So, and of course, when I do use any kind of screens and stuff, it's all the DIY stuff. Let's go and move down. Somebody also said that Reef Builders did a cool vid on nice screen tops. You can check that out as well. Travis, if you can, please leave the live stream up so I can listen to it tomorrow while driving. Enjoy listening to your videos. Yeah, I'm not taking my live streams down. I don't see the point of taking them down. Yeah, so they'll be up. I might change like the banner or whatever it is, the head freaking page or whatever it is. I might change that, but in the title maybe. But other than that, I'm leaving them up. I don't see any reason. I don't think I said anything so far that I can be used against blackmail. If I did, you guys already fucking screen snipped it anyways. I'm starting to lose my voice. One of those days, fucking kids went back to school, and guess what? Group fucking just rampant through my house. Okay, let's go ahead and move down and get a few more questions here. I'm just finally starting getting comfortable, and now the stream is almost over. I will admit, I was a little nervous in the beginning. Not nervous, but a little antsy because I didn't know what to expect, but I kind of chilled out through, and now I'm comfortable, and the shit's almost over. Let's go to move down here. MS, what's the best approach to upgrades? 55 gallon to a 300. Budget and room not the issue, or going slow. 125, then 250 is the right approach. Shit, man. If you have room for a 300 gallon, just get the 300, man. My philosophy is go as big as you can possibly go. That fits your budget and the house that you're currently living in, and long as it doesn't go through the floor, you're fine. Bigger is always better. That's what she said. Fuck, I knew it. I knew I would get one of those in there. Motherfucker. Okay. Just get the biggest tank you can get. And I'm done with that question. All right, going down here. Okay, question. Should I go on? Okay. Mike's back. Motherfucker. Mike is back. Did we just give him a timeout? I don't know how that works. I'm going to have to check with you, the moderators, afterward. I don't know if we give him a timeout and then he can come back. I don't know. But I'm going to call him anyways. He needs a little spanking. Okay. BRS has a nice video on Vibrant. There you go, guys. The key of knowledge, BRS. You're going to get, they do all that stuff. They got staff to test that shit and learn all about it. So, plus they're selling it most likely. So check out the BRS video for Vibrant, guys. And I am going to do my own research so I can help you better later with it. Okay. Bacteria adds, Vibrant adds bacteria that consumes NO3 and PO4. That makes sense. Okay. What are you feeding your RX pump with, or my calcium reactor with? I'm using no, it's not a Jable. Shit. I'm gonna have to find the link for you, man. Hit me up on email and say, hey man, can you give me the link to your pump? Because I bought it off BRS. It's a small, very small DC pump, and I'm gonna have to get that to you. It's relatively cheap. It's like under $100, but I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. And I'm late to class. Well, you better get back. Late to class. Well, you must way time zone for me. Moving down here. Hey there, 75-gallon skimmerless tank with a 20-gallon long refugium. Would a powder brown tank be too much? 2 gobies, 3 firefish, 1 urchin, 3 hermits, 4 okay. 75-gallon tank with 1 powder brown. No, I don't think that's going to be a problem. They actually don't get too big. I know that the powder blues get a little bit bigger than the powder browns, but then again, I haven't had one as long or as old as blue is, which I got from Scott from Roscoe's Reef, that which you can see in the video there. But yeah, he should be fine for a while. I would not be adding any more tangs to it though. Don't add any more, because I think the aggression is going to be too much in that tank with being so small. So he should be fine with that. Moving down here. I know you run your lights for 12 hours with 1 hour ramp up and ramp down at each end. How do you acclimate to the length of full light intensity? I don't. I mean, all my corals have always had that. And usually what I do when it comes to adding new corals, at least what I did with the 300 is I'll get a rack. I mean, I already burned through this video again. I actually put them on a little magnet frag rack, and I will keep them a little bit lower in the tank, around the lower 250 par range, and then they'll get used to the light intensity and length more or less through that process. But to be honest with you, for corals that I have here in house, they go into quarantine with the same light schedule and usually the same intensity that they're going to go into the main display. So there's not really much of an adjustment for me, but I would say put them on a rack, keep them low, and allow them to adjust. So if they're going to get more length of light, like time-wise, it's better to have lower par so they can adjust to it, opposed to having 500 or 400 par where they would be happy if it was like 8 hours for 12 hours just starting out. So hopefully that makes sense. Just keep them a little bit lower. Be good to go. Everyone is using Vibrant because BRS had been pushing it shit like crazy hard. Okay, well that makes sense. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't watch too many reefing YouTube channels. I want to, I do, but I just don't. I don't have an excuse. I just don't. I want to though. I don't know if that helps. Can you have the stream be called the life lessons with Travis? Hey, it can be. Yeah. Hey, I'm totally cool with learning, man. I mean, you don't grow SPS because you didn't take the time to learn. You don't get anywhere actually in life if you don't take the time to learn. It could be even simple shit. So yeah, we can name it that. Let's go ahead and get down here. What would cause my bubble tip anemone to close up and turn brown, look dead but still attached to rock? Usually nutrients is a big thing. Big fluctuations in salinity can really piss off anemones. So I would check the nutrients, see where they're at. If you're getting a ton of direct flow, that might cause it to shrink up, or it won't be open enough to get enough light to survive because they are photosynthetic. So look at those things. I don't know. There could be other things. You could have other water parameters that are off. Temperature fluctuations, or really maybe the tank is too hot. But usually if coral is growing in your tank and it seems to be doing well, those anemones should be fine. Moving down, I got 5 minutes left. Well, 4 minutes and 55 seconds. All right, old tank leaked and it got all the live rock into a new tank. My fish, new sand, and most of the water. The tank is 2 weeks into a heavy diatom outbreak. Can I add another fish or have to wait? I would wait, man. I would not make, sorry about that for the chair. I would not make any changes to that tank until the diatoms go away and it stabilizes with nutrients and with the bacteria. So I would not make any changes to it until that's gone. Next question. Is coralline algae a good sign and the tank has a healthy system? Yes, coralline algae is one of the main signs that your calcium and alkalinity, more particularly your alkalinity, is in a good range and that your tank is healthy. So if you're growing coralline algae, you're doing something right and you're definitely ready to grow coral, and SPS will grow in that environment as well. Because coralline algae pulls out kind of like SPS does when it grows. Just the way that it grows, and usually the water parameters are pretty close to it. Now there are different types of coralline algae that can live in fucking dog shit water, but generally if you're growing coralline, you're doing pretty good. Yeah, that purple tort, I told you I got a ton of that stuff. I did break off a huge freaking colony of it, and I got some of it, so you can get it whenever. One, on a frag system, is it beneficial to have live rock or biomedia in the sump? I don't use biomedia. I used to use marine pure, but I found that if you're going to use marine pure, you have to have some kind of mechanical filtration before the water touches marine pure. If you don't, it's going to catch every single thing that comes through there, and technically will become your mechanical filtration and will get clogged up and become a nitrate factory and be a huge pain in the ass. On top of that, marine pure has been known to have the, aluminum. Is it? Yeah, aluminum in it. And I did have it early on in my 300. I think one of my very first ICP tests I did showed, because I had 2 blocks of marine pure and there were technically one, I cut in half, and I ended up getting aluminum on my ICP test. So I took out the marine pure, did a nice big water change, and then did an ICP test about a month and a half later, and it was no longer on there. So that's all the proof that I need that I'm not going to use that. There are, of course, other types of biomedia, but again, if you're going to use a biomedia, make sure you have some kind of mechanical filtration beforehand to make sure that it doesn't get clogged up and turn into shit. Oh man, we got 3 minutes left. This will be my last question, guys. Would you recommend to use Algae Barn Ultimate Starter Pack, which is a cost about $300 for a large tank, brand new tank of dry rock? So the Ultimate Starter Pack is what? The inverts. I'm assuming it's what it is. You said Algae Barn, but I think they do inverts. I never bought from them. No, it's $300. That's a lot of money. I would say you can, but I would wait. I would see throw a little bit in there, maybe get some of your local fish store, quarantine them. If you have money to burn, you want to do it, go ahead. But that's a lot of money. Be throwing on it just when the tank's starting out, and man, hopefully they have enough to survive and eat and live. So, so I am officially got to 8:43, and we are at 8:58. So I never officially caught up on all the questions. So I'm going to address that over the next week while I figure out kind of this program and kind of figure out how I can make things easier for members and stuff like that. But that's going to conclude our live stream. We had about 160 people average for the whole 2 hours. So shit, I'm thankful for one. So I appreciate everybody who came in. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up before you leave. Let me know once the comments come up and when it eventually uploads. Let me know what you guys think, or you can send me an email. Let me know what you think. Any recommendations on things that I should do differently? Maybe I should read the questions slower, which I've already thought I should probably do. Any suggestions to make this live stream easier or better for you guys? Because it's going to be one of those things. I'm just, for the next couple months, I'm probably just going to do Q&As every Sunday to get used to it. and kind of get a feel of what you guys think about it, and any and all recommendations on how to make it better for you, maybe with the program, maybe not letting Mike Lemming come into the fucking stream anymore. You know, that's always a possibility. Calling you in about 5 minutes, fucker. And, you know, anything that I can do to make it better, please let me know. And you can email me at fishofhex@gmail.com. And I'll be happy to take those recommendations. So that's it, guys. I will see you tomorrow. I'm going to do another video, and I'm going to try to get one out every single day this week. That's my goal. All right. So I'll see you guys later. All right. Peace.